Well, hey, friends. It is good to be back with you. I have been recording some new episodes and we will start dropping those pretty soon, but I wanted to pop in here just for a really quick moment to make sure that you all know about the Post-Evangelical Collective Gathering that we have happening this year in October in Denver, Colorado. It's going to be October 11th and 12th. I think many of you, probably most of you, know about the gathering that we held last year in South Bend, Indiana, where 120 of us ended up showing up who were pastors, artists, other kinds of church leaders who showed up who care about like what's happening in the church, what's the future of the church, what kind of churches are we creating. And this is a group of people who care about like the new things happening in the church, but who feel like ecclesiologically homeless. I feel like I don't exactly know where I fit in the larger church landscape, and maybe you self-identify as post-evangelical in some sort of way. In fact, if you resonate with a lot of the things that we've talked about on here, my guess is that you resonate with that work. And so this is a gathering of leaders to connect, to share resources with each other, to learn from one another, to know that you're not alone as you help to lead the church in these new spaces. I remember one of my favorite stories of somebody showing up at our gathering last year in South Bend was they walked into the lobby area of the church that we were meeting at there at South Bend City Church, and they just started weeping. And they turned to somebody who was there in the foyer and just said to him, "I had no idea there were so many of us." And so it's this time of solidarity. But we don't just sort of like all get into a room and hope like if we shake like the container with everybody in there that something magic will happen. We create some form and structure for it in order for those things to happen. So we're gonna have some great workshops. The first day we're gonna have these pre-gathering workshops that are gonna be from some great folks who are doing some really important work, things around like dismantling toxic leadership patterns. And so we're going to have a whole workshop around that and about but how do we reconstruct new kinds of leadership? Because sometimes what we're seeing happening in the church is to swing the pendulum to have like no leadership and nothing ends up getting done and you don't end up moving things forward. We're going to have some great friends who are going to be working through some stuff on the children's ministry space. How are we reconstructing children's ministry in the space? And so we're going to have these like great practical workshops before the gathering. Then we're going to get to hear from some folks when we get together. We're going to have some worship together. We're going to have some time where we hear some short talks, where we get to gather in groups and sort of process those and interact with the person who presented those talks. We're going to have some great ones of those. We're going to have some times where we break off and we learn from each other. We're going to have we rented out last year a space, and we're looking to do the same this year, where we just had a gathering afterwards, like a social time at the end of the first evening where we like got together and there was a bar and sit around and hang out and share stories and get to know other people. So we're going to create a lot of space to like learn from each other, to learn from folks, to like talk back to each other, to experience some resources, and it's going to be really beautiful and good, and I hope that you'll join us there. So if you're looking for more information, registration, all of that, you can find like links to that on my website at mikegoldsworthy.com. But if you're a pastor, artist, other church leader who feels connected in this space, who feels ecclesiologically homeless, and you're looking for a group of people to sort of link arms with, to connect with, to learn from, I hope that we'll get a chance to be with you in Denver this year, October 11th and 12th. I think it's going to be a really, really special time. Oh, and by the way, friends, we want to continue to make this gathering as accessible as possible while also trying to figure out, like, how do we make this sustainable for the long term? I could tell you all kinds of stories about how we had to, like, make last year work. But without going into all of that, I just want you to know, like, what we figured out for this year is that we figured out a bunch of different kinds of registration options, including things like a group discount. So, like, buy 4 tickets for the price of 3. We have you can buy one and you can gift one. So if you have the means to be able to like help others out and you want to go, but you want to be able to help support other people who don't have those same means, like you can buy one and gift one. And then if you need it, there's a pay what you can option. So you just simply designate like, this is what I can afford. This is what I can do for this. Cause like I get a lot of the churches that are in the space, you are a church startup, you're a church plant, you're a smaller church. Maybe you don't have the same funds and resources available to you when you're a part of that large evangelical church or whatever, but we want you to feel like that there's space for you here and that we want you here. And so we're doing our best to try to figure out both how do we make this sustainable so that this gathering and collective can continue to happen, but also how do we make it continue to be accessible for everybody who wants to be able to be a part, to have the ability to come and be a part. So that's all in the registration page. Anyways, friends, we're going to be back with some new episodes. Got some new folks, some new friends for you to get to meet. But until then, grace and peace to you all.